Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jim, and this is my second episode. First, we'll deal with the comments. My sisters and brother commented on the previous episode. They all had positive things to say, but they're family. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Please leave your comments below, and don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. Now, on with today's episode. In 2013, we lived in Three Forks, Montana, a small town at the western edge of Gallatin County. Three Forks has a lot to recommend it. Its name comes from the fact that three rivers come together there to form the headwaters of the Missouri River. Outdoor recreation of all kinds can be had around Three Forks. It's about 30 miles down the interstate from Bozeman, so all the amenities of a larger town are nearby. The downside of living in Three Forks is that it's too close to Bozeman. People from the big city think nothing of a 30-minute commute. Three Forks and the surrounding area was changing rapidly. The mom-and-pop businesses where we knew the owners and they greeted us by name were being bought out by people from out of state. The very character of the town was changing. We had a nice house in Three Forks that we built together, but longtime neighbors were selling their homes to out-of-staters and moving away. We started looking for a place that was higher up in the mountains or farther out of town. We spent many evenings scouring the multiple listing service online to find our dream place. I traveled a lot for my work, so I had opportunities to reconnoiter areas. On days off, we would go look at specific properties together. On Friday, May 3rd, 2013, I worked on a little project in Helena. It was a sort of outdoor work where I could take my dog Sadie. She loved to travel with me. On the way home, we detoured to look at three properties. Two were up Weasel Creek, just west of Winston. They were not what we were looking for. My wife had found the listing for the third place. It was up Deep Creek, east of Townsend. This property was 20 acres of steep mountain with lots of trees and a year-round creek. Someone had started developing the lot by building an access road, putting a culvert across the creek, and bringing in electricity. It had been on the market for almost 2 years. I immediately loved the place. On Saturday, a week later, I brought my wife to see the property. She immediately loved it too. On Monday, we contacted our realtor to see about making an offer on the place. I had printed out the full listing, but she couldn't find it in her MLS. She did some research and found it was listed by an agent in Great Falls. We made a low but reasonable offer, which was accepted, and we closed in July. The previous owner had been working with a developer but gave up when they could not get a septic permit for the property. They had dug a bunch of test pits and run into solid shale all over the lot. I met with the Broadwater County Sanitarian a couple of times, and she never would admit that she had been to the lot and inspected several test pits. I downloaded the Montana wastewater regulations and read the whole document. It was written in technical terms, but as an engineer I understood it as well as she did. She had grounds for denying a septic permit on my new property, and I didn't have much recourse. At that time, the regulations allowed a 1,000-gallon septic tank with no drain field to be connected to a seasonal home that was occupied no more than 120 days per year. We didn't have any immediate plans to live there, so that suited us just fine for now. We bought a used camper trailer and parked it on the lot. We started spending all our spare time at our Montana mountain place. We had electricity in the camper, but no cell service and no internet. We brought drinking water from Three Forks and hauled the contents of our holding tanks to an RV dump station. It was the middle of summer and the weeds were growing tall. I sprayed weed killer on the Russian thistle and houndstone, the two most common and most noxious weeds on our land. My wife mowed the tall grass and beat back the wild roses. Around the 4th of July, we had a bunch of family come to visit. Some brought tents and sleeping bags, but most did not stay overnight. To accommodate friends and family, we contacted Kerplunk to bring in a porta potty. That turned out to be much better than having people use the toilet in our camper. The next big step was to have potable water on the property. If you look closely at the head of most water wells, you will see a cast aluminum cap with the name of the well drilling company. Around this area, H&L Drilling was one of the most popular. I called and talked to the owner and arranged to have him come out and look at our place. He was booked up into September. On July 13th, I started building my first structure on the property. It was a 6-foot by 8-foot tool shed. It would be really handy to not haul my larger tools from Three Forks each time we came up. I was still on call for my work, so every day I had to drive to the top of the mountain where I could get cell service and check for messages. On August 10th, CenturyLink installed a new landline phone. We were no longer isolated from friends and family, and I could keep in touch with my clients. A 20-acre lot is not huge when it's all at the same elevation. You can walk around 20 acres of pasture land in 20 minutes. Our Montana mountain land was a different story. In addition to the year-round creek at one end of the property, we had 2 seasonal creeks and 2 tall ridges. Because of the trees and the steep slopes, there was no way to drive across the ridges. We had to take a 15-minute trip on the county road and a subdivision road to get to the back of our property. Of course, I could hike up the mountains and get around on foot, but it was just too steep for my wife. My regular work involved traveling to mountaintop communication sites in all kinds of weather. I had a snowmobile and a tracked ATV, and an ATV with knobby tires. We brought the quads up to our Montana mountain land. The ridges were too steep for the ATV with knobby tires, but I found a route that I could climb with my tracked ATV and was able to get to the back of the property in about 5 minutes. On September 3rd, H&L Drilling came out to drill our water well. Sean Toney pulled out a couple of brass welding rods and began looking for underground water. He found a good spot and they started drilling. In the first 100 feet, he got 10 gallons per minute. Some of our neighbors were getting 30 gallons per minute, so we had him drill down some more, all the way to 340 feet, but he never found more than 10 gallons per minute. They cased the well with steel down 40 feet, then PVC for the next 300 feet. They came back on September 17th and installed the pump and piping in the well. I had them dig a trench to the location of the future well house to place the pressure tank and pump controller. They installed 1 outdoor hydrant and an underground curb stop. We had water! In September, I started on the second building, another 6-foot by 8-foot utility building, about 300 feet from the tool shed. A friend from Eastern Washington came over to help me. We didn't finish the inside at this time, but we got the roof on and the walls closed in. In October, the temperatures turned colder and the snow didn't melt so fast. The only indoor work I could do was electrical in the tool shed. Otherwise, we sat around the fire in our fire pit. That's the end of this video. There's exciting news to announce in the next episode, so click the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.